What's up, everybody? My name is Alana Belle. I'm an artist, activist, and organizer from the Glenville neighborhood. I'm also a candidate for the Ward 9 seat on Cleveland City Council, and I am here with the Creative Mindset. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the Creative Mindset. I'm sitting here with a communal leader, a fixture in our community, a pivotal fixture in our community that has affected change, an activist, a voice, a platform for lived experiences and amplify people within our community, a program specialist. Yeah, I'm glazing you. It's crazy. It's crazy. You may know her as a Cleveland poet, but I know her as Alana Belle. Hey.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really glad to be here. I appreciate it.
And we're glad to have you here at the Creative Mindset. So just want to step in, not too quick, but how was your day?
Oh man, it's been a busy one. It's been a busy one, but a good one. We actually just left the Cleveland Rape Crisis Center. They're forming a union, and so they had to protest to support the workers of CRCC.
Yes.
And so I was able to go there, talk to some familiar workers, talk to some new workers that I haven't met yet, but also just listen to what the workers are saying they need, because they have a drop-in center on 105 and Superior.
Yes.
And I also used to work for CRCC, so it's very close to home in a lot of ways.
And CRCC, this particular building that was just built, is one of how many within the state where they can, I don't believe that I know the specifics, but I believe you can have your children there while you're still in recovery, or?
So the drop-in center, at least the one on 105, it's not a residential facility.
Okay.
It's just somewhere that folks go to receive services or to relax, wash their clothes, take a shower, whatever it is that you need. But folks don't actually live on the property.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I had some clarity on that, because I was getting a lot of mixed information on it. But thank you for sharing that, because I wanted to know a little bit more. So let's just travel back to origin stories. Where are you from, and on which side of Cleveland?
Yeah, I am firmly an East Sider, very much an East Sider. I'm from Glenville, so I grew up right off 105 in St. Clair. That's also the area that I currently live in, but Glenville, born and raised.
Yes, most definitely. So my origins don't come too far from where you at. I grew up on Locke. In St. Clair. I went to Iowa Maple. So I definitely have a lot of Bone Thugs and Harmony type origin stories when they was on the porch around the corner. Tell us a little bit about your childhood and your upbringing and your experiences coming up in the Glenville area.
Yeah, I think Glenville is a very dynamic neighborhood. Definitely in Cleveland, I always look at 105 and St. Clair as like the heart of the city. For a lot of different reasons, mostly because all the lit things that happen can be found on St. Clair, but also accessibility, transportation, the logistical things. Growing up in Glenville was very interesting. I was able to see a lot, see a lot of art, a lot of artists, hearing about Bone Thugs growing up and all of that fun stuff. I was definitely in middle school, high school when the whole royalty camp, Fat Al, RJ, you a fool for this one. That whole thing was popping off, and so being in the midst of that was a cultural experience that I didn't really appreciate until I got older. Right. Whether or not folks are still like in the limelight as much as they used to be, like that was a moment, that was a significant time in history, specifically for Clevelanders, and being around for that whole experience was really, really beneficial. I think there are definitely some downsides as well growing up in Glenville, but I think that's true across the board. It's not, Glenville unique to Glenville, but I think being a little Black girl growing up in that neighborhood was definitely an interesting experience. We get the hair stores and you see all the girls with the fly hairstyles and the hoop earrings and the everything. So it was a learning experience for like my relationship with femininity. But I also, being a little Black girl on St. Clair, getting hit on by grown men, and some of the fights and violence and things that existed in that neighborhood were things that also was also part of the things that I grew up watching and witnessing. So in a lot of ways, I was able to like articulate and identify certain issues earlier than probably I should have been able to. But it was also a chance for me to have like context behind the work that I do before I even knew I was getting into it.
So, thinking about what you said, just the over the bridge mentality about Clevelanders on the east side, because people on St. Clair, me and bro was having a whole conversation. He's from St. Clair, I'm more from Kinsman and 93rd, and us thinking the complete opposite of one another, like St. Clair is the bad side or Kinsman is the bad side, when we actually going through the same things. It's very a communal experience that can be shared, and I wish both sides can have a forum, because I swear we act so separate, but we're so much alike. Our Beechwood is y'all Euclid back in the day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Euclid Square Mall, and going there and traveling up that way and having a different experience outside of living within your community. I do want to ask you a question about encompassing all of those different feelings about what was going on in your community. One of your earliest forms of expressing your emotions and a medium of yours was poetry.
Yeah.
And so how did you get into poetry? How did you get into creating that way?
Yeah. So me and my sisters all went to Newton D. Baker, which is an elementary school, Cam's Corner on the west side. And so that was a performing arts, like, elementary school. And so we grew up taking the dance classes and the violin classes and going to Rainey Institute and all of those things. So being an artist and also being an audience member was something that we had years sort of ingrained into it. Shout out to my parents for that. But arts and artistry was like a part of our childhood growing up. And it wasn't even something that they like at least articulated to us that like, we want you to be artists, we want you to experience these things. It was just something that they knew would be beneficial to us, and I'm really appreciative of it. And for me, when I transitioned out of elementary school, I ended up going to Cleveland School of the Arts, and I initially went for orchestra. I played the violin for 6-ish years.
That's something I did not know.
Man, yeah. I started out playing the violin, second chair, you know.
Okay.
But
that's like crazy. People don't know how big that is, but
yeah, I love it. But grew up playing the violin, and then just being at CSA, we had an opportunity to try a little bit of everything. So like, instead of taking gym one year, I took dance. We had after school programs like photography and writing clubs and all of these things. And the writers club that Mr. Fairman hosted was my first foray into poetry. I knew I had some experiences and feelings as a child that I didn't really know what to do with, and I didn't really know how to process, but I knew I needed to get it out. And so I went just out of curiosity one day. I had started watching, what is it called? Def Poetry Jam.
Okay.
I started watching Def Poetry Jam on YouTube and all of that. And poetry as like an art form just like felt good. It felt like something that resonated with me. And it also felt like something I could learn how to do. And so, I started in the poetry club, the writing club, and then transition. I changed majors because at CSA you have majors the same way they do in college. But we had majors, so I switched from orchestra to creative writing and spent my final 4 years at CSA as a creative writing major. And so I got a chance to explore storytelling and playwriting and prose and all of these different kinds of like writing. But poetry is where it's where I felt the most freedom. And it's also where I got the most attention. And as a Sagittarius, I must say, I do love attention. But it's where I felt the most free and where I got the most attention. And it was also an opportunity for me to learn new skills. Back in the day, we had this program called Slam U out of the Cleveland Playhouse. And so I started going as like an attendee, as somebody who was taking the workshops and taking the classes and all of that. And I eventually became a peer mentor or a peer educator there. And so I was able to teach some of the writing workshops, teach some of the performance workshops, and really get into the logistics of poetry slams. Because I think open mics and slams are very different worlds. Those are very different experiences.
They are.
The way you show up and the way your work is received is very different. And so I was really appreciative of like the opportunity to experience both of those worlds, and also in a complicated way, still appreciative of all of the like older poets who kind of walked us through just the slam culture. And like anything, good and bad, that existed there, but the good definitely outweighed a lot of the bad. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about people. And I also grew as an artist.
So what I'm hearing is that you've been socialized to have a certain level of introspection about yourself in terms to in terms to express yourself was a total different journey, because it's more about self-discovery, and you ventured off on your own when you went to CSA. When you say you jumped into the poetry scene and you dedicated yourself to doing that, I feel like that opened up a different avenue for you in the communal aspect of you having a real community of like-minded individuals like yourself. And a lot of times when people talk about politics, they don't understand that it's very much so grassroots when you set your impressions on people. And that usually starts in isolated environments of creation. So with that being said, when you got on the scene as a Sagittarius, when you got that, I'm a very, when you got that attention, you know what I'm saying? How did that set up your transition to be the communal voice that you've become?
I think that's a really good question. Honestly, I came into like the organizing piece purely by accident. Poetry was definitely like an intentional journey, something I knew I was doing. I didn't even know I was organizing until somebody else told me. And so I think poetry and arts and all of that fun stuff gave me the level of responsibility to know that like what I do and say impacts other people. And so I think that part of it helped prepare me for like the organizing world. Because I already knew going into these different rallies and protests and all of these things that like words carry weight. And also that like the people you surround yourself with are really, really important, not only to your journey, but also to the experience the community has, both in interacting with you and also people watching you interact with others influences how they interact with other people. And so it was a lot of layers to it, a lot of layers to it, but it helped me in ways I didn't realize again until like much later.
I feel like coming up as an independent artist, and when you say that, I'm immediately thinking about this. How do I express myself and still be authentic? And then that leads to looking at organizations and, hey, you want to solicit my knowledge of this neighborhood, you got to pay me. And that leads to, I was going through your social media and I was like, you still got New Voices content right there. I see the canvassers. I'm like, okay. So when did you officially say, well, I want to start getting compensated for this, or I'm gonna start seeking out work for this? Because everybody, the default is the hospital. That's the default for everybody. If you talk to most Clevelanders, everybody had a stint at UH or Cleveland Clinic. If you on the trajectory to do anything, that was the baseline for a lot of people, or somebody's family member. Somebody was a dietitian, somebody was a transporter, somebody was working at the front desk, somebody knew somebody as a nurse. How did you pivot away from that?
I think like So prior to me organizing, I was in like education, arts education type work. And I've had like 47 jobs, all of these things, but they all center around like caring for people. And my first organizing job was with an organization that is closed down now, but Common Good Ohio. And it wasn't something I sought out, it was something that somebody else presented to me. Because again, at that time, I didn't see myself as an organizer. I didn't have the language for that. So I didn't really know what it was. And then when folks sat me down and was like, what you're doing is organizing, you should be compensated for that. Somebody sent me the job, and it was my first really opportunity to see this not only as like an actual thing that has culture, that has a culture behind it, that has expectations, that has like the whole nine. But it was also like my first opportunity to see, oh, people do this for a living. Like people take care of community and sustain themselves at the same time. And it was also my first time with like a salary. It wasn't a high salary, but it was my first time with a salary. And so it was like me stepping into, my big girl draws real early on. Yeah, it was very interesting, very eye opening as well.
It got to be a shock. It has to be a shock because with you having an organic opportunity given to you like that, like it was just basically bestowed upon you. It wasn't something that you was even necessarily looking for. It found you. And community it feels more special to me when it's like that.
Yeah.
It's not somebody you're not even necessarily seeking it out because it's already a fabric of your life.
Yeah.
I want to talk about specifically the bodily autonomy portion of it, the way that we met in the work, and then we found out the familiar aspects later. But the way that we met in the work, reproductive justice work, and working on issue 1, specifically the ratification of, the state constitution, working with all of the different coalitions to get get it ratified, get it passed, and things of that nature. How has that been pivotal within your journey and amplifying your voice as a Black woman?
Oh man, so necessary. Regardless of what organization I've worked for, because I've worked for a few different nonprofits at varying levels, varying roles, but I always say I'm an RJ organizer first. RJ for me is definitely like RJ, this is how we care for people. This is how we care for community. This is the framework that we need to make sure we're taking care of everybody's needs. And anything that I do in regards to community is centered around this understanding, like, all the pillars, all the things. And I see RJ as our pathway to freedom. And so when I'm looking at how to care for community, when I'm looking at how to care for myself, and the people that I love, it is definitely from like that RJ mindset, that RJ framework of saying like none of our issues are siloed, none of our issues are single, we don't lead single issue lives sort of scenario. I can't remember the whole quote, but we don't lead single issue lives. And so for me, especially in all of the different roles that I've had, so like, I spent some time working at the Rape Crisis Center. I spent time working at Preterm, which is one of the abortion care facilities here in the city. I spent some time, working at schools and detention centers and the whole nine. And I was able to apply like the idea that, especially like working with the young men who are incarcerated, you are not here or you are not going through this experience because of one issue. You did not make whatever decisions you made or get involved with whatever people you got involved with because of one thing. These are all like all encompassing experiences that are really, really interconnected. And so I was able to, I feel like it's easy for me to humanize people in a lot of ways.
Yes.
And it's because of that. It's understanding that like you're not a bad person. You had some sorry. You're not a bad person or a bad community member or any of these things. You are somebody who had a series of experiences that led to whatever this moment was. And that's true for everybody. When I was doing the arts education stuff and kids in class wilding and doing whatever it is that they was doing, like, you probably had a terrible morning. You probably had X, Y, and Z experiences
Yes.
going on. Your parents are dealing with whatever issues they're dealing with, and that's impacting you. And I think, again, RJ for me is like the root of understanding people.
I feel like doing the work in terms of reproductive justice, we don't pay more attention when we try to frame it for people outside of the movement. That intersectionality portion, it starts with reproductive. So that means that's you. No matter if you classify yourself as male or female, it does not matter. That means the cultivation period, from the time that you are being cultivated to the time that you are born, you deserve the same opportunities as everybody else. It has to be a certain level of equity with our neighborhoods and marginalized people in general. And I feel like that isn't explained enough. But I do want to say this. Organizers are very anti-establishment.
Yes.
So I don't. Voter apathy is a thing. We talked about that offline. Voter apathy is a thing because we inherently do not trust the electoral system.
Yeah.
We are not fooling with voter purging. Voter purging is when you register to vote and then you miss an election, in which may be an off year, may not be presidential, and then the state purges your registration to vote, and then you go to the polls and you ain't registered.
Yeah.
So that's voter purging, and then House Bill 458, the voter ID restriction laws, and all of this stuff, everything that's stopping somebody from actually being involved.
Yeah.
So organizers are very anti-establishment.
Yeah.
What made you make the shift to saying, I want to be the change that I want to see?
Yeah, I definitely think there's a little bit of definitely a little bit of naivete happening there. Because I look at coming into politics, not the exact same, but very similar to like Black folks who go into policing and they're just like, I'm going in to be the change. And it's like, friend, I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this. The amount of work you're gonna have to do is gonna be bigger than you. And I think that's true for politics. I am going in with the intention of making changes, not just for Ward 9, just for Glenville and Collinwood and University Circle, but for the city at large.
Yes.
The political landscape of Cleveland is atrocious. And it's also kind of vicious, too. I'm built for the viciousness. The atrocities, not so much. But that is part of the reason that I am running. I feel like I have the experience, and more importantly, I feel like I have the values that align with like caring for community, taking care of people, and working with the people to serve them. What I see a lot across the board is elected officials, regardless of what level, whether you're a city council, state rep, whatever, there's a lot of people who come into these positions for reasons other than like altruism. Like, you're not doing this as a public service position. You're not doing this as a way to care for a community. A lot of people are looking for a resume builder and power. And the thing that like really solidified me wanting to run, because folks had asked before if I was running, and then the conversation shifted from if I would ever run to, hey, could you run? Should you run? And I had said no for years because gross, right? Like, we don't like establishment. We don't like politics. We don't like politicians. But I also know, like, the reason I don't like politicians and the reason I don't like establishment is because it's not being done correctly. And I see myself as somebody who has the opportunity to step into office, to step into this role, and I already see myself as an organizer, as a public servant, and transitioning from like the grassroots on the ground with the people organizing to let me use these resources that are afforded to people on city council to help make the city a better place. So that transition was interesting. still interesting. It's very interesting. But I do think it's a necessary one, and it's one that I'm really grateful for. I've learned a lot about my community, things that I wasn't necessarily aware of before. Learning and have learned a lot about myself in this process as well. But I'm also learning a lot about what community means to different people because we all have our own definitions.
For sure, because we were within it. Everybody has their own problems. Everybody has their own perceptions. Just speaking on city council as a whole, the redistricting, the term limits on elected officials, the cases that my man just caught that they just voted on.
Yikes.
If y'all don't know about it, do your Googles. It's a lot. It's a lot. The American Rescue Plan Act, when we got $511 million from COVID, and we didn't see where that went. It went to real estate developers. It went to the flats. It went to silo organizations that worked by the city that was favored by the mayor. It was a lot of still money being used from the ARPA funds that people don't know. We can talk about the participatory budget. The one that they still acting out right now. They trying to get it together with the 100,000. It's a lot of different issues that's going on in the city of Cleveland. And I know you want to make an impact. But what specifically about Ward 9 do you want to affect immediately when you are to presume office after the general election?
So one, I want to say term limits for everybody. Term limits for everybody. There's not a single elected position on this American soil that deserves lifetime.
And not to cut off your wisdom, can we say on wax that the city council president has been the president for how many years? 25? 20?
Well, no. Blaine Griffin is the city council president. He's still fairly new. He got in 2017, I believe.
Okay.
But the incumbent I'm running against is Councilman Kevin Conwell. He first got elected in 2001, so he's been in for 24 years.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
And so in regards
I got the position wrong, but I knew the number.
Yeah. And so in regards to that, I think the thing that I want, like somebody recently asked me, what does my first 100 days look like? And for me, it is really just taking stock of everything that's going on and identifying what systems are in place, what systems aren't in place, and how we can modify and change whatever systems exist to be more equitable, right? So for anybody who's familiar with Glenville, or even if you're not familiar with Glenville specifically, if you're familiar with the east side of Cleveland, East 105 is like one of the main streets on the east side. And going up and down 105, like there's an instant like line of demarcation in the city or in the ward where resources have been distributed and resources haven't. And it's not even just like development and new buildings and new opportunities and all of that, even though it is that too. It's also potholes and streetlights and abandoned houses and, community centers and all of those things. And so for me, when it comes to getting people things that will make them safe in the moment, so fixing the potholes so our cars aren't messed up, or people who ride bikes can ride in the street without risking, breaking their face. Fixing streetlights, especially on streets where there's a lot of elders, a lot of single mothers, a lot of folks who are generally a little bit more concerned for their physical safety. When it looks like, that also looks like prioritizing the rec centers. Ward 9 has 2 rec centers. So we have Corey Rec on 105 in Drexel, and then we have Glenville Rec, which is attached to the high school, and both of them are in shambles. They still got, the big back computers, the real, they still have the old computers. The workout equipment is rusty and broken down. There's not really any clean meeting rooms or any spaces large enough to have community meetings. These are not set up to be the intergenerational spaces that they could be. And those are some of the things that I want to start addressing, right? Like, so Getting the money to update the rec center is definitely going to take time, but we can still start building in programming, right? Getting people's the potholes fixed and the street lights fixed and the bandos will take time, but also part of that time is focusing on the folks who've been waiting the longest. Right, one of the things that we've seen and heard when we were talking to neighbors, and something that I see just being in community and driving around the neighborhood, is like there are no potholes on Ashbury. Right, there's no
You know why it's
potholes
no potholes on
on
Ashbury, right?
exactly, but there's no
I'm gonna just
potholes.
say it. The Case Western Reserve right there. The frat houses is right there, and they're also revitalizing. Canez is revitalizing that neighborhood, Wade Park included.
Yeah,
So of course there's no
and
potholes on Ashbury.
and that's
Niggas,
also where the councilman
white
lives.
motherfuckers be jogging over there.
Yep,
So,
happily with their
so
dogs off the leash, just living their best
I'm
lives.
like, I've never seen this before.
Yeah, no, it's odd. Seeing white women jogging down Superior is
Wild.
wild to me.
It's crazy
And
to
it's
me.
not necessarily that white people jogging is the bad thing, is that we know culturally that that is the precursor for gentrification, right?
Yes,
And so when
they're a
we're
block away.
seeing, man, and so when we're seeing folks who normally wouldn't come here see our neighborhood as like an opportunity for their personal growth, it is a problem. Mostly because they're coming in, and historically when we look at gentrification across the country, but also specifically in Cleveland, when unfamiliar white people come into neighborhoods, it's not that they're coming in and trying to blend with the culture or assimilate or anything. They're coming in and changing the culture of the area. And so when we look at white flight and redlining and all of these historical things that we know shape the city, I'm nervous. I'm concerned. Like as as a daughter of St. Clair, like I don't want St. Clair to change. I don't want the culture to change. I want the conditions that we live in to change, but I don't want the people, the community, my neighbors, like the food, the music, the cars, the everything that exists over there. We should be able to thrive and get nice things without compromising our neighbors for it. And I want us to be able. We can do that. We can improve the community without $2,000 apartments on 105 in St. Clair,
Come
right?
on, man.
Like,
If you even look at the intersection after you pass Eddy Road, that was one of the most busiest intersections in the 50s and 60s with black business.
yep,
So I don't know why
yeah,
there is this framework around St. Clair that we're just going to abandon one of the most paramount neighborhoods in the Cleveland's economy when we was at the golden era.
yeah. The Gold Coast. Shout out to the Gold Coast. Shout out to
Come on.
Mizzo. But the Gold Coast is what that area used to be called. And so there is Mizzo, who is an artist and organizer from 105, who is like working to rebuild that. There's another group called Superior Renaissance, which is some older black men who are trying to revitalize, because Superior was also like a booming area that was also a cultural hub for, I believe, the Black Muslim community as well back in the day. And so you have people who are dedicated to rebuilding that, revitalizing those neighborhoods. But part of it is like, who's in leadership? Do they care? Is this something they're willing to invest in? And after 24 years, you know,
Right. And I mean, throwing up, I don't even want to speak on that.
$76 million worth of buildings
Oh my
in the
God.
ward over the past few years that most of the people who live in the ward can't access.
Can't afford.
It feels like the dedication is to developers. The dedication is to money, and not necessarily to the people. And so all of these buildings are not bad, right? I think there's the Hitchcock Center for Women that's coming up. And so these are like really, really positive things. There are medical centers that are taking care of folks with substance abuse issues, folks who are experiencing mental health issues, and all of that. And I think that is necessary work, but at what cost, right?
That's what I was meaning when we were starting the interview. The Hitchcock Center. That's where it's going to be.
Yeah.
They can have their children there and things like that. It's going to be pivotal for the neighborhood. Kev is trying to take the majority of the credit of that, but that's not him.
No. Most of the things he tries to take credit for are not him. But
that's definitely not him. But this is about you. We're not going to talk about your contemporaries. What you're encompassing is definitely, it's such a tall task.
yeah.
And I know it weigh on you mentally.
Yeah.
I mean, as organizers, sometimes we pouring so much, we forget we don't have nothing left. Mm-hmm. And we just literally just pouring because we get fed from helping other people, typically. Yeah. How do you keep your mental together during this time? How are you decompressing? What are your self-care practices?
I gotta be honest. I'm not doing a great job. I will say, thankfully I have years of therapy under my belt already, so I'm not coming into this raw. I do have experience and skills and tools and things like that I have access to. But I feel like my biggest support right now is the people around me. Like my best friend is my field manager, and he keeps me from going off on people more than anything, but also keeps me like grounded and aware. And because sometimes, like, I know also as a Sagittarius and a middle child, like I'm hot-headed, and it is very easy for me to like for me to like go off without necessarily realizing how angry I am. And so having somebody who is cooler headed, somebody who is on the outside looking at me, to just put their hand on my shoulder and
Right.
like, hey, you can't cuss these people
because that's
right
not
now.
even you flipping the fuck out. It's really just passion.
And it is, but I also understand the consequences, especially with me being in office. I understand the consequences of like I can't flip out the way like I'm used to, like being in the streets and being 22-year-old organizer Alana, like cussing out the cops. Cussing out the cops is fine, right? Cussing out elected officials in front of residents, not so much.
Right.
And so it's really helpful to have that. But I also have like a really, really strong team. The folks that are around me, when I think about Bree and Willow and Ramad and McKinley and all the folks who are speaking to me, it is equally like, you got this, you can do this, like encouragement, but it's also, have you eaten today? Like Bree puts rest hours like on my calendar. Folks are making sure like I'm taking time to take care of myself, but I'm also really good at saying like, I'm not doing this shit today. Like I'm I'm tapping out. I'm gonna take a nap. I'll catch y'all tomorrow. And thankfully I have a team that like respects and understands that. But also I have a team who, like, most of them have also gone to therapy. Most of them have also, talked to the lady once or twice. And so we are like-minded individuals who understand, like, my name is attached to the campaign, but this is not my campaign. This is for the people. And I cannot take care of the people if I'm not taking care of myself. So, we take naps. I love a nap.
Man.
I love a nap.
That midday be crazy.
Man. Especially now that it started getting a little chilly, I can turn my heater on, wrap up in my blanket. Yeah. I am a smoker, so like grab me a blunt, my blanket, and a nap, and I'd be a lot better about 2-3 hours. But also knowing that I have access to the tools when I need them is also really, really comforting, because like I find myself like towing that line between like being just like a little upset or a little frustrated, and then also like being upset or frustrated or drained to the point that I need assistance. And so it is helpful to know, like, I know what that is. I know what that looks like. I know what resources are available. And I also know myself well enough to know, like, you should talk to somebody.
I feel like you bring in a normalcy to politics.
Man.
Because if more elected officials were outward about how they decompress and the things that they're struggling with, I think they will be viewed as inferior most times. That's why they don't do it. But for you to be transparent is pivotal, especially for the generation that you represent,
Yeah.
because you represent a new voice.
Yeah.
I do want to give you the opportunity also to talk to the voters of Ward 9 as we steadily approach the voter registration deadline, which is October 11th, correct?
Yes.
It is pivotal that you go out and register to vote if you haven't already. If you need a counterpart to go vote with or know anything about voting, please contact me, Donnie.Berry, or Alana at the Cleveland Poet, because we definitely need to get them registrations up
Yeah.
all across the board. Is there anything in specific that you want to say to the voters of Ward 9?
Yeah. So I want to say two things. First one, a little controversial for folks who are running for office, but voting is not the only way you can be civically engaged. There are community meetings, community initiatives. You can have a deeper conversation with your neighbors, getting to know the people around you. All of this is community work, even if we don't call it that. And so I think being civically engaged beyond voting is probably some of the more life-changing work, both for you and your neighbors. And so I think that is work that I would like for us all to do. You don't have to show up to a poll, and voting for a lot of people feels or sounds like a contract. Like this is like I'm beholden to this person, I'm beholden to this office, I'm beholden to this thing. And so you can take care of the people around you without that. So look for those opportunities, look for the community meetings, look for the organizations that do similar work. And so, quick nonprofit jargon, C3 organizations are nonpartisan, and so they can't endorse candidates, they can't do any of that work. But there's some amazing C3 organizations that exist in Ward 9. So check out Building Freedom Ohio, or BFO, led by Fred Ward. You can also check out CRCC if you are a survivor of sexual violence and need some support, need some resources, or if you are a supporter of somebody who's a survivor and want to offer like volunteer hours, all of that fun stuff. And then the second thing that I would say is we deserve elected officials. We deserve representation from people who actually care and are accountable, right? Like with my 10 plus years of nonprofit experience, organizing experience, I have movements, organizations, institutions, and values, like people who know me, who got my address, who got my phone number, who have access to me, and also folks who know me well enough that they can check me when I'm not operating in my values, when I'm not operating in those things. And we deserve somebody who's going to be accountable to the people and not accountable to developers, not accountable to whoever the council president is, not accountable to, like, we deserve somebody who's going to act for us. And for me, it is the work of taking care of people. It's the work of taking care of people. And that's work that I've been doing for 10, 15 years. That's the work that I'm dedicated to. You can check my IG, you can check Google, you can check whatever it is that you need. But one thing that is very, very clear is that I care about my community. And I plan to use this office of city council not to bolster my own resume, because if we keep it at $150, taking a city council job would be like delaying my own personal salary growth, like, because I am on track to make far more than what city council pays.
You can be an ED somewhere, for sure.
Easy. Yeah.
Anywhere, to be honest.
And so it is definitely, for me, it's not about the money. I am far less motivated by money than a lot of people. I don't have no kids, so it's just me. And if I get a dog, right? Like, it's just me and the dead plants in my house right now. So I am not, I'm expensive, so I still need money to live, but I'm not as motivated by money. Developers aren't as important to me as the people are. And the logistical things, like the policy work, I got that under my belt. The galvanizing people, getting people out to vote, getting people to show up, I got that. Giving people clothes, got that. Food, got that. Like, I'm not new to any of this. I would just be new to the position, and being new to the position does not make me unqualified. Inexperienced and being inexperienced and being unqualified are not the same thing. And I think that's the message, more than anything, that I would leave with folks, especially younger voters. Because some of the apathy is like, we vote for this new girl. She don't really know what she's doing. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna stop you right there because I do.
Mm-hmm.
I do know exactly what I'm doing. And we need change. Like there's no reason. And this is not just about the incumbent, though it is. There's no reason after 24 years of one person in office, especially somebody who is proud. I graduated from Glenville and I'm a tar blooded for life. Your high school looks crazy.
And you know it.
The rec center attached to it looks crazy. The people who live on these streets over here, these streets are not maintained,
To the
not
point
clean.
that Ted Ginn had to even detach himself and create his own little school. You understand what I'm saying? He had to get his own school that was a direct pipeline for the football team because he was like, I ain't got time for that. I'm not about to. Yeah, that's crazy.
And so I want to take care of St. Clair. I want to take care of 105. I want to take care of Superior. I want to take care of Glenville and Collinwood. I want to take care of my people. Because it infuriates me to know that we have resources and they're just not being distributed equitably. Ashbury don't need nothing else. Wade Park don't need nothing else. University Circle don't need nothing else. We have the art museums in our ward. We have pieces of Cases Campus in our ward. We have
The
UH and the VA and Cleveland Clinic and all of these things in such close proximity. They're fine. But I know my neighbors on St. Clair have been waiting on responses from the city to help them fix a roof for 8 years. I know my neighbors on St. Clair have been waiting 15 years for the abandoned house where we don't know if these are people or like large rodents living in, right? Ceilings collapsing, chimneys falling off, all sorts of things that are dangerous to the neighborhood and also to the morale of the people over there. It is a lot more inviting for people to help take care of their community when they're presented with something clean, right? I was just talking to my friend the other day about, a date that I was going on, and they asked me to help them do their laundry and all of that stuff. Sir, your house is not clean and you want me to help you clean it? I can't really do that. But if you show me a clean house and then I help make a mess, I will gladly help with that. And so it's the same philosophy. I feel like if we build St. Clair up, use these abandoned storefronts for all of these Black entrepreneurs that live in the neighborhood, right? Use all of these empty walls as canvases for the artists that are in the neighborhood. Use these sidewalks that are dirty and dusty and bland and give poets an opportunity to line the streets with our words. The opportunities are endless. I have the connections, I have the skills, I have the values, more importantly, to help see these things come to life.
Y'all go out and vote for Ward 9, damn it. Vote for Alana, man.
Yes.
My illustrious co-host, my bald head brother ain't on camera to ask this question, but what are you most grateful for?
What am I most grateful for? That is a good question. I'm grateful for my people. I'm grateful for my people, and my people means a lot of different things. My people as in Black people, my people as in Black queer people, my people as in Black women, my people as in organizers, my people as in, other folks from 105 and St. Clair. I am grateful for the people that are around me. The folks who are pouring into me are helping me sustain. The folks around me that don't pour into me help me learn about myself. And the people who are a passing presence are giving me something beautiful to look at. And so I am really excited to be in this Black ward, in this Black city, and being surrounded by like really, really dope Black people. Yeah.
My last question is, if you can leave people with one lasting impression of you. It could be a piece, it can be a speech, it can be a protest if you like, it can be an act of change. What would you like to leave the people to remember who you are?
And see, I knew I should have brought a poem. I knew I should have had one ready. So two things. One, if you're familiar with Gil Scott Heron, he has a poem, Whitey's on the Moon.
Okay.
And so I'm just going to leave that there and ask you to stay tuned to my social media, stay tuned to my website, because there is work coming along with that. So I'll leave that there because that's where the poem is coming in. But the thing that I will leave us with is the Assata Shakur chant.
Okay.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and support one another.
We must love and support one another.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains. Man, tell the people where they can find you.
Period. So there's an E at the end of my name, Belle. Belle for Ward 9 on Instagram, or actually all social media platforms, Belle for Ward 9. My personal Instagram is a Cleveland poet because I'm a poet from Cleveland. And show up. These races are definitely about our wars, but these are citywide positions. So the decisions that I make that impact Glenville, Collinwood, University Circle will also impact 93rd and Kinsman and Clark Fulton and all of these different things. So if you are in a position where you have, if you got money to give, amen.
Amen.
Let me look at the camera real quick.
Amen.
If you have money to give, campaigns are expensive. We have people we need to pay for their work. We have resources we need to purchase to help sustain the work. So we're asking for $9. Ward 9, I'm corny. So if you got $9, put 9 on it. But more importantly, if you have time, I am running not just against a person, I am running against an institution. And so I need volunteers to help me hit doors. I need volunteers to help make phone calls. I need volunteers to help do data entry and create art and do all of these different things, whatever skill set you have. If you believe that we deserve representation that is younger, if you believe that Black women should be trusted in office, if you believe that we need fair representation across the city, please bring your time, your talent, your treasure over to the campaign. We have open arms. Like I said, Zombie is my bestie and also my field manager. He helps coordinate volunteers, so you can reach out to him. But also come to the campaign page and we'll get you hooked up with whatever you need.
Alana Belle, y'all. Appreciate you.
Thank you.